What if a single secret operation, run by spies with suitcases of cash, changed the fate of an entire nation and triggered a revolution that still echoes today? In 1953, the CIA pulled off something that had never been done before: the covert overthrow of a democratically elected government. The operation was called TP Ajax, and for 60 years, America pretended it never happened. To understand Operation Ajax, you have to understand one man, Mohammad Mosaddegh. He was Iran's democratically elected prime minister, a Harvard and Swiss-educated lawyer, and a nationalist to his core. In 1951, he did something that shocked the world. He nationalized Iran's oil industry, which had been operated by the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company under contracts the nationalists considered deeply unfair. The grievance was legitimate. The net profits of the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company between 1945 and 1950 were almost 3 times the royalties paid to Iran. When Mossadegh's parliament voted to nationalize oil, popular demonstrations showed widespread support. The people of Iran were behind him, but Britain was furious. By nationalizing Iran's oil, Mossadegh threatened British oil interests, putting him on a collision course with the world's preeminent post-war powers. Britain responded swiftly and harshly. The Anglo-Iranian Oil Company ceased operations rather than accepting the nationalists' demands, and an international blockade was imposed to deny Iran access to oil export markets. Britain first tried to get America on board under President Truman, but Truman refused. Then in 1953, a new president took office, Dwight D. Eisenhower. The British played their most powerful card, the Cold War. They emphasized to the new president that Mossadegh was a communist and that Iran falling under Soviet influence would be a catastrophic loss in the nascent Cold War. Eisenhower proved far more receptive. By early April 1953, CIA Director Allen Dulles had greenlit an initial $1 million to be used by the Tehran station in any way that would bring about the fall of Mossadegh. The plan was finalized over 3 months, with intelligence officers meeting in Cyprus and Beirut. Winston Churchill approved it on July 1st. Eisenhower's final consent came 10 days later. The man chosen to lead the operation was Kermit Roosevelt Jr., a senior CIA agent and grandson of former US President Theodore Roosevelt. He slipped into Tehran in secret, and Operation Ajax was officially underway. What followed was a masterclass in manipulation and deception. CIA-funded agents fomented unrest inside Iran through the harassment of religious and political leaders and a media disinformation campaign. The tactics were brazen. CIA officers worked directly with royalist Iranian military officers, handpicked the Prime Minister's replacement, sent envoys to bolster the Shah's courage, directed a campaign of bombings by Iranians posing as members of the Communist Party, and planted articles and editorial cartoons in newspapers. A major newspaper owner was paid $45,000 to support the coup effort. The CIA even sent fake news releases to the Associated Press. One of the most cynical tactics, CIA operatives bribed demonstrators into attacking symbols of the Shah while chanting pro-Mossadegh slogans, making it look like Mossadegh's own supporters were violent radicals. The first attempt failed spectacularly. On August 15th and 16th, the initial coup attempt was unsuccessful. Mossadegh had been warned. Key conspirators were arrested and the Shah fled the country. CIA headquarters sent directives to abandon the operation, but Kermit Roosevelt refused to stop. He pushed forward by organizing fake demonstrations and seeking support within military circles. Then came a crucial mistake by Mossadegh himself. Fearing that street violence would spiral out of control, he banned all demonstrations. That single decision cleared the streets of his own supporters. Pro-Shah and anti-Mossadegh forces marched to the Prime Minister's residence. After a day of fighting that resulted in approximately 300 deaths, Mossadegh surrendered. The coup had succeeded. The consequences were swift and severe. Mosaddegh was arrested, tried, and originally sentenced to death. But the Shah commuted his sentence to 3 years of solitary confinement in a military prison, followed by house arrest until his death. The Shah was restored to power, but now as an American puppet. The CIA created the Shah's infamous secret police, the SAVAK, and Western oil companies secretly agreed to limit Iranian oil production in order to control the Shah's revenues and keep him subservient to Western interests. The Eisenhower administration viewed Operation Ajax as a success. Overnight, the CIA became a central part of the American foreign policy apparatus, and covert action came to be regarded as a cheap and effective way to shape world events. A nearly identical operation toppled the elected government of Guatemala just 1 year later. But history has a long memory. The Shah ruled Iran for 26 more years, and his repressive regime, built on CIA support, planted seeds of rage that would eventually explode. The coup ingrained the notion that the Shah was subordinate to US influence, and this helps explain the hostility directed toward the United States during the Iranian Revolution of 1979 and the antagonistic relations between the two countries ever since. In a poll among 350 members of the Society for Historians of American Foreign Relations, the 1953 coup was ranked the 4th worst decision in US foreign policy history, considered worse than dropping a second atomic bomb on Nagasaki. It took until August 2013 for the US government to formally acknowledge its role, releasing declassified documents confirming the CIA carried out the coup as an act of US foreign policy. Operation Ajax lasted just a few weeks, but its consequences lasted decades and are still being felt today. It raises a question that has never been fully answered. When a superpower decides that another nation's democracy is inconvenient, what right does it have to destroy it? The people of Iran paid that price, and the world is still living with the answer.